idea came from here, where you see the medical procedures, when I talked about a sister who broke down and cried right here, who was a medical doctor. And I asked her, why was she crying? And she said, I'm a medical doctor, and I can identify all these medical instruments on this books in stone, carved in stone. And she said, not one word was mentioned of the fact that this was right here at the Per Ankh, or the House of Life, right here at the Mumbo. And she also said that she had to take the Hippocratic Oath. And the Hippocratic Oath, she said she would practice medicine according to that of Asclepius. So in her mind, everything is starting with the Greeks. She didn't know that Asclepius is the Greek name for Imhotep, the multi-genius who was a physician 2,000 years before Hippocrates was an Egyptian. As I said in the lecture, even Homer said in the Odyssey that Egypt leaves the world behind when it comes to medicine. When we think of Galen, the Roman, who we are told is the one that gave us the anatomy of the body, Galen got that information. He himself said that he studied that from ancient Kemet. So the anatomy of the body was already known by Kemet, already known by Imhotep. Also wrote William Harvey, when we are told about the circulation of the blood, starting with William Harvey, that was already known right here in Kemet. Now, when these Europeans took and unearthed many of these medical papyruses, they put their names on it and called it the Ebers medical papyrus, which talks about 48 injuries to the face, neck, throat, and spinal column to show the cure that was taking place. Another European by the name of Edwin Smith, he took and they put their names on it. This papyrus goes back to around 2,600 years BCE, and even older than that, and may have been used, I'm sure, by Imhotep himself. So again, by Europeans putting their names on all these sciences, what that does mentally and psychologically is cause us to totally deify them and to continue the European white idolatry. And to worshiping the Western world as they've been taught, they've taught some of us, not all of us, that nothing happened until they came on the scene. So again, they came here and put their names on all these things. As the sister was able to identify all the medical instruments, the prescription for Imhotep, you see right here, is bowl for to wash his hands, but yet this multi-genius architect built the world's first stone building, who was an astrophysicist, but yet you look up here, where's Imhotep's head? His head has been knocked off. Also, we talked about in the lecture, the Eye of Horus. And then with some is now saying that there's where you get the RX and the pharmaceutical symbol came from. And those of us who, sisters who feel that when you were pregnant and you were about ready to have the baby, the first thing you felt that you wanted to sit down, is that right? Because that's the natural way of a birthing chair with a set sitting on the birthing chair. Here she is right here. For gravity to naturally take the baby down. Then the caveman came along and propped you up against gravity. All right? Now you're trying to force up against gravity itself. That's why you're screaming and hollering in pain, because you shouldn't be in that. The baby would have just naturally came down in the birthing chair that already has water in it. Now the hospitals are just now starting to use the birthing chair. But here the birthing chair was known 3,000 and 4,000 and 5,000, I'm sure beyond that time period. You see it carved in the books in stone right here. But yet even to this very day, as we talk, people are still going to med school. And not one word is mentioned of the Per Ankh or the House of Life. Right here where you see the medical instruments, where all of this was started by African people. So again, we see that doctors, African doctors, are still walking around talking about that they took the Hippocratic Oath, that they would practice medicine according to that of Asclepius, and have no idea that they are calling on a Kemite African who was a physician in his Per Ankh, or House of Life, where he did the first medical surgeries and so forth, as you can see on these various medical instruments that we see right here. That's why I said we have to reconstruct our thinking. But above all, we've got to start to plant the seeds. If you can reach one or two, and start to plant the seeds, because it's not going to happen in our lifetime, brothers and sisters. But just like all fruits and all trees and forests and everything else, you've got to start to plant the seed, and once you have that knowledge, then we can start to plant it. So as we stand here today, then there will be others who may not have the same thinking that we have, who may be very well versed in everything, because we planted the seeds today for them to have that knowledge for tomorrow. Is that right? So that's the Sankofa bird of West Africa. okay, of the economy, okay? We must go back and retrieve that which we have lost, okay, to be in the present and to go into the future. So that's how we have to look at this. We can't let ego think that we're going to revolutionize everything in this little bit of time space that we're in, all right? But when we take and send our spirits into the future, all right, then that time is imminent, okay? It's eternal. And that's how we have to think, like that. Not like we're going to just do things overnight. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But we can start right now. Take the ego, put it in your back pocket, and go to work. And put your work in, and then when you go to that Ma'at hall, you said, I did my part. That's what it's all about. All right? If every black man and woman in America just took 5% and brought it back to the people, we would be out of this oppression tomorrow. All right? We would start building institutions in America and doing everything that we would need for our future survival in America. And ultimately, that's what it's about. Our future survival of other brothers and sisters, so they will not suffer from the same mental and psychological enslavement like some of us. Because the final stage of that emancipation is the mind. And that hasn't taken place yet. All of us. Because unless all of us are free, okay, then none of us are free. All right? So when all of us are free, then we are all free. So that's how we have to look at it. Just because a few of us know, if the race doesn't know, we still don't know. So that's how we have to do, is put in the work, all right? And no individual is going to take a collective. And no matter what field of work you're in, research it, and you'll find that Kemet was already doing it. And you'll be surprised and shocked at what you come up with. So start that, because it's already lying there dormant. Ancestors knocking on the door. They just want to let us in. But it's been suppressed through all types of negative things, okay, that America has produced. All right? We've only been out of this thing for only 150-something years. All right? So we haven't even gotten even yet. All right? So now we got this, the mind emancipation now. And there's not going to be no paperwork on that. Okay? No president is going to stamp it, well, we finally emancipated the minds of black folks. There's not going to be an emancipation proclamation on paper on that. Okay? Not going to stay with it. They free yet? Their minds free? No, that's not going to happen. That can only happen by us doing that. Hotel?
Hotel.
Yep.